It is Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Susan Tilley Lively Boardroom of the 1887 building. And I'd like to start the evening out by saying the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Mr. Adlock to do roll call.
Mr. Andre is excused. Mr. Gayhart. Here. Eric Gordon. Here. Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costa.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Ms. Corpus.
Here.
And Mr. Jaime Sarabia.
Okay, we have a quorum and this meeting has been noticed for state statutes. Is there any community participation? I didn't receive any cards or anything, so I'm going to assume no. Our first item on the agenda is the overnight travel request from the Agriculture Department.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bailey Creamer. I teach agriculture. I've just started year 5 at the Elkhorn Area School District, and so happy to be here with all of you tonight. I have Ava Nelson with us too. A couple of things. We want to talk to you a little bit about the recent trip that we took to Italy over spring break. Talk a little bit about some plans we'd like to move forward with in future travels. And then I also have our list of annual overnight requests from the FFA chapter. So I'm going to turn it over to Ava to introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Ava Nelson, and I just graduated from Elkhorn High School, and I'm pursuing a degree in the culinary arts. So getting to go to Italy and see their cuisine is really helpful. And I also got to see how they live in their lives. Really eye-opening. It makes me want to travel more. And I got to meet amazing people. One was a chef, and he gave me a few tips. So it was really great to meet people in their lives.
So first and foremost, we just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for supporting the first inaugural agriculture abroad trip, in spring of 2024. We ended up taking 23 students, 3 teachers, and we had one amazing experience.
We learned that Italy is very diverse and a very rural country, so it was nice to get a different view and see a lot of different ways that they live their life, and kind of there are some similarities between our practices and theirs. Some of the tours that we went on, we got to see an olive oil processing facility, which isn't as commercial, but it's also like still like they do traditional kind of ways and how they make their olive oil. Got to see different olive groves. We went to a buffalo farm that produced mozzarella, and it was really neat to see that because we also got to learn like water buffalo is a little different from our cows. They're all black and they're in a very hot country. The summertime is very hot, and so it was really cool to see how they put pools in their fields to cool them down. And we went to a chocolate factory and got to learn how they import their goods and make their own kind of chocolate.
So they were making mozzarella from water buffaloes?
Well, yeah, so they'd milk the water buffalo and then they would take and make the mozzarella cheese out of that. Texture wise, it's pretty similar. Like it would look just like anything we're used to if we were to buy like a ball of mozzarella at the store, but it's very like rich and creamy. And actually the contents from the water buffalo they can produce 2 times more protein. So if you're looking for a protein packed product, yeah, it's very interesting. Just difference. And you know, probably with what they eat, they're a cattle type of animal, but completely different region from where they're from. So very cool with that. The other thing I'll note too, so if you think of Italy, it's kind of like the size of both Georgia and Florida together. So not giant, but not small either. It's very diverse in mountain and like coast regions. So we see things from like almonds, cherries, oranges, wheat, and grapes being grown depending on the region that we were in at that particular time. And actual wheat production for all the pasta that they make, they can't keep up with that in Italy itself. So they were importing a lot of that from Ukraine, but due to the war in Ukraine, that's changed a bit for them and kind of was a little scary at one point.
What time of year did you go?
We went over spring break, so it was March, end of March.
And what was growing in the fields at that time? Anything?
We got to see some almond trees, grapes, kind of like in that picture there. They're kind of, you just see the sticks, you don't see much of like leaves and stuff, nothing growing off the vines yet. But it was still really cool to see just miles.
The bottom picture is actually an orange tree, so like the oranges were in bloom at that time as well. Mhm.
And then one more question on the olives. So what do they press on the olives to make the olive oil? Is it the pits or is it the full fruit or?
I think with the next picture, next slide.
Yeah, I think go one more.
You can speak to this.
Okay.
So this is the chocolate factory. And that person's hand up there is a crocantino, and so they roll all their R's, so you sound really fancy when I say that. But we got to learn where they import their chocolate from, different process of this picture here. You can see how it's covered in this white gooey substance. It's crazy. So they wash it and then they roast it and they chop it up as hazelnuts in there, and then they mix it with some caramel, roll it out, and then they cut it in these little squares and they cover it in chocolate, and that's how you get crocantino. And yeah, this is really cool to see a little small facility make some chocolate.
And the whole factory itself probably wasn't much bigger than this room. Like it was very packed. And like we walked up this giant hill to get to it. So like space wise in a lot of these places it's very different. But
this is the mozzarella farm. Here we're just outside. Was it their house there?
Yeah, at their house they have like a lean-to that they use is very similar to like our agritourism here. So they have a facility within their location to speak and teach people.
And you'll see some of our students are making mozzarella balls. And up there you can see in the bowl, she's showing how the cheese just changed. She was talking for like 5 minutes and it just went from liquid to solid. It was really cool. There's some dried curd in the bowl, and then we got to feed some baby water buffalo. Very cute. And then this is the olive oil facility. So this little rollers over there, the wheels, they put their fresh olives in there, grind it up, and then this is the first stage of like pure olive. So you can take like a ladle, and it's called la crema, and that means the tears. And it's very rich. You want to take a little teaspoon in the morning, and your digestive system will thank you. And then from there they put it in these polyester filters, and then over 3 hours they press it from one big stack to some small. And then they take those liquids, and they go in this little separator where you can see she's holding a jar. It has olive oil and water in it. And the really cool thing is they use everything. So the water part, they take and they water their fields with it. And forgot to mention, they take out the pits sometimes too. And those pits, they take them and they put them and make products that like, reheatable sacks for keeping warm in the winter. So they use everything that they take. And I think that was really cool. And then they showed us their new equipment, which is that little third photo there. You'll see it just goes from everything from the grinding to the filtering processing, and they actually added some infused things. There's apple, red onion, lemon. The red onion one is my favorite. And they also make their own kind of like Nutella too, but it's like not Nutella. And it was very filling there. The food did not disappoint. We all very well fed, and there was actually the first night they just kept bringing pizza after pizza after pizza. It was a lot. It was very delicious, and we always had a gelato. So. Some food tours that we went on in Bari, we went and kind of walked around this little alleys, and we got to see ladies making pasta, and we got to taste some fresh pizza. And there's also this weird one that had like mozzarella, like basically a mozzarella ball, but inside there was like a liquid, so you ate it and it exploded. That was great. And in Rome, we went more on like their fast food tour, so you had to get, like some more pizza, and then you got to have something called souffle. You'll see pictures of it later, but it was all very good. And other sites that we got to see, we shared our evening meals together, so we kind of bonded more as a group and friends. And sometimes we like pass students around and we eat like buffet style almost. And then we also got to try some local specialties. And usually a typical meal would go, they would give us some bread, or some bruschetta and it's like a little appetizer. And then we have our main dish, our pasta, our meat, vegetables, and then they would finish it with dessert. And they always had water or sparkling water. In Europe, they love their sparkling water. Yes. Everyone went for this.
What kind of meat?
We had like some veal one night, so people weren't happy about that. We had beef. What else? There was also a lot of salami, prosciutto. They would put that on the.
We had pork one night, we had chicken one night, fish.
We had everything. And so this is the ladies in Bari. They're very nice ladies. They're like, "Oh, where are you from?" So very happy people.
And they're just making this like outside their home. So like behind them is like a curtain that would like walk into their home. And then they would be making the pasta right out front of that and selling it on the street. And we're in a street that's looks like an alleyway, you know, it's not very big.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because cars and motorcycles sometimes come through these streets and you're like, oh, it's very, very crowded and busy. Then we got some bow tie pasta with pink sauce, and this is we were at the mozzarella farm and had a little taste testing thing. Got to press some ricotta, bruschetta, and their fresh mozzarella. And then that is a typical panini there. And a little fun story. That dessert is called the nun's breast. Despite its
Unusual
it
name.
speaks for itself. Inside, there's some white cream in there, and there's also some chocolate cream, and it's very soft. And it's a delicious dessert. And I know it's based after the Saint Agatha. I don't know the whole story about it, but I just know it's from her.
Okay.
So this is your typical antipasta plate, and then you got our dessert there. That bread is called buccia. I'm not sure what makes it different. Do you remember it all or no?
I think it's just like a sandwich. So it's just a typical like hot sandwich that they would have.
Does it have like a muffalata on it?
I'm sorry.
Like a muffalata, which is like an olive spread.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
It might.
It might. I think that one had like a red sauce.
Okay.
Okay. Next to that is the veal meal, and that was good. It was good. And then this is our gelato. They usually put whipped cream on it too, and it's really nice. It's chicken potatoes. I think that is rigatoni. And then we had zucchini bread, or excuse me, zucchini pizza. It was delicious. And then that is zouffle, basically rice and cheese in the middle, and it's deep fried. Delicious. And we also got to see a ton of culture, very different from ours, considering their resources, their climate, everything like that.
So some of our tour highlights. So at first we have just like the different cities that we went to. So we started in Rome and ended in Rome, and some of the other towns. But like in America, where you have different locations and regions, they have the same thing. So Rome was our city metropolis, but we went to Polignano a Mar. So coastal towns, Benevento was up in the mountains. So we just saw a lot of different things, which was really nice to not just be in the same type of town all the time. We saw a lot of different places. And some other unique things is families live together in Italy much longer than they do in America. So they're not expecting their children to move out when they're 18. They stay together like all through their college years. And bathrooms were kind of unique. You had to pay for public bathrooms, and then our students thought it was fun that there were bidets in each restroom that they went to. So learning about what that was all about. Teens attending different high schools based on their career interests for specific training and content. And then the traffic there was just insane. We were in a big, coach bus, and everyone just pulling out in front of you. So just interesting things that are different about their culture versus ours. And the line thing, you remember?
Oh yeah, usually in America, you don't have our lines, like, oh, stand here, you're next in line, and Italians are just crowd.
Yeah.
Same thing with traffic, there's two lanes in traffic, they make 5. Very, they use their space.
Learned that from European vacation.
We can just,
Yeah, this is a lot of our shots that we really like. This is in Alberto. That's the fountain,
Trevi Fountain.
Trevi Fountain. Very cute alleyways, very awesome. And that's in Astrini or Polignano Mare.
Yeah, that's with the Adriatic Sea. But yeah, beautiful place, very different. If you think things are old here, go to Europe and they're older. So
Even though it is a younger country because of established There's a lot of very old architecture and history there. For example, Matera, everyone was just shoved in there. And it was very much like a survival of the fittest, basically in there. So you just wait for the rain, hope for the rain. And it's very eye-opening to see how different people. And a few more pictures. A few more pictures. The map just shows this is the Puglia region, and that means very little water, no rain. So that's where they use they put gutters up and they use what they can from rain.
All right, so agriculture abroad was so fun that we want to keep that fun going. So today we are seeking support to do just that. So after our last trip, we reflected on it. Myself and David Cruz, we spent some time talking, how did it go? We thought it went pretty well overall. We were really happy with the result. We were really happy working with EF Tours. There are a few things we do differently, but simple, easy fix type things. Just about being aware, you're now aware. I've done this trip once, so that's looking at just like what are the next opportunities. I used EF again, just as a guidepost. We did look into some other travel groups as well, but eventually went back with EF just because it's very reliable, which I appreciate. If you would click on where it says travel details, there's a link to a doc. Thank you. So this is just a quick doc that I put together with some details, but seeking approval to continue our agriculture abroad program within our ag department. This time traveling to Ireland. EF has a tour specifically called Agriculture in Ireland, where it's a lot of farm to table conversations. They do not allow travel prior to April 1st. So utilizing that spring break window like we had before is not such an option for that. So we're looking to do a July trip. So utilizing summer days so that we're not interrupting school time. So I have a couple details there. I can read through it if you'd like me to, or if you'd just like to glance through it. The cost per student is $4,269 per kid. And again, we're looking to do this in 2026. I guess maybe I started with that, but so not this next year. So we're giving the students that are signing up time to engage in some of those fundraising activities and being able to spread out those monthly payments so it's not as difficult financially on families. So we're just seeking approval to continue with this program, continue with the travel, and I'm happy to answer questions if you have them.
Is that the only travel request you have, or is there?
Oh, I guess that was the first one. I didn't know. I can talk about the next ones too right now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
That's all one motion.
Yep, that's fine. The next ones I can, I printed them. I did not get it. So these are just pretty standard, overnight travel requests. That from the FFA chapter, the only thing I really changed with this document from years past is dates and times. But these are events that are set forth by national or state FFA organization, whether they're leadership events, competitions, mostly like overnight conferences or advocacy type programs.
And these are all paid for through fundraising.
Yeah, either through fundraising from our, within our chapter, on an individual basis. So the only thing that's really, we have our sub account and those types of things, but.
I'm sorry, I missed the
And
last
the
part. What you
alumni.
said?
That's okay. Just like, the travel expenses for all of these are handled through in our chapter from fundraising.
What do you guys do at the fair?
Good. Yeah. Yes. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a good year. Yes. Goodness.
Derek said they did over $80,000 just in grilled cheese sandwiches.
That's right.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's gross.
Yeah, no, I
Right, yeah.
understand that.
It's still
That's
not.
a lot of-
And a lot of.
Not a lot of cost.
Jesus. It's a lot of late nights.
It was the best deal on the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
It was.
Awesome.
I was making the grilled cheese and it
Yeah, I
was
saw
either,
you there.
it was either cheddar or
Swiss.
Kobe or Swiss,
Yeah.
and I was buying the Swiss, and then all of a sudden, someone said, we need a pepper jack and a cheddar. And the woman next to me says, we don't do that. And the guy said, it's for Mr. Tadlock, and I said, we'll do it.
I'll give you $10 extra. So why not piece of cheese? It was very good, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions that I can help answer?
They could be fun questions too, like. If they're part of the trip.
What's your favorite part of the trip? Anna, Ava?
I really like talking with this one guy. He was the other chaperone of the group. We went with another group. But the
From-
chaperone, they were from Maryland.
Yeah,
And they were, was it culinary class students? Yeah. So they went a little different tours than us. They went to do the little kitchen thing, but the chaperone, his name was Chef, super nice guy. And he told me all about like, he actually gave me tips how to make the best grilled cheese. Cause I was doing a grilled cheese competition at the time, and yeah, it was just a really fun guy to talk to, made me feel included, and made me feel like I wanted to travel more. Great.
Traveled by bus, I take it,
Once there, yeah. Yep,
and you stayed in hotels?
correct.
Okay,
Yep.
that's nice.
Mhm.
Remind me the length of time for
Um,
the Ireland trip.
10 days.
Oh, it's
It's
10
another
days.
10 days, yes.
I don't have any other
No, I'm good.
questions. Nobody else does, then just looking for a motion to approve the overnight travel request.
I move to approve the overnight travel request from the EAHS Agriculture Department as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the overnight travel request from the EAHS Agriculture Department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Sorry, I went a little
No,
longer.
you're great. It was, we love hearing about those things.
Awesome.
Back in college.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Where are you attending school?
Just here in Gateway, I'll be part-time right now, but
Okay,
I'm having fun.
great. Awesome.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the approval of the school board minutes from August 26, 2024. If there's no questions or corrections, then looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the August 26, 2024 regular session school board meeting as presented.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 26, 2024 regular school board meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And just as a point of, for you guys, you're welcome to participate in the voting, you know, yes or no or whatever. Now, on those, on the motion, you know, for the minutes, you wouldn't vote because you weren't at that meeting. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, general and other fund bills.
The general other fund bills covers checks number 152-971 through 153-307, wire transfers 224 through 239, and ACH 100 through 133, and the combined amount of $448,773.60. And then there was a memo providing some additional information on several of the bills in your board packet.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke or Mr. Tadlock?
I do. I was jotting things down, and a couple of them you answered with the notes, so that was super helpful. Thank you. Axel Tech.
That's an antivirus software system that's used in our network and our computers.
Because it said it was something about a site plan renewal and I'm like.
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't help me.
don't expect cost, but that's what it is basically.
Okay. And then, I know we did advertising for options, that was at Image Management, do we have any kind of idea of return on investment with that?
I was actually gonna ask the exact same question.
Just curious.
Yeah, have we done any kind of studies on, cause I know we advertise in many different areas.
Mhm.
Have we kept track of what works, what are we getting?
We do keep track, I don't have a report prepared,
Yeah.
but as best we can in regards to when they open enroll, they do ask, how they heard about us, how they learned about us. It's hard on things, because I think what you're referring to is the bus.
Yes.
ad,
Right,
I
it was
believe.
like $5,000.
Yeah, so it's, it's hard sometimes because people don't always recall where they
Sure,
seen something
Totally
or
get
when they had an initial.
especially if they've
impression
seen
and
it in
so forth.
multiple places.
Yeah, I would say that the one that we definitely is probably the easiest to track are the direct mailers,
Sure.
which still, as much as, when you get flyers in your, I end up tossing them quite a bit, but those are pretty concrete and easy for us to track. When we say, well, how did you hear about us? And we got a mail flyer, yeah. But I would say the ones that aren't as easy, which might be hard to identify, is the bus one, unless they specifically say, or the movie theater ads, unless they specifically, but it's planting those seeds there. I don't, we do ask that.
And the 5,000 was for a year,
Oh.
that was a
okay.
year,
Okay.
and I'm aware of, I think approximately 6 students from the Racine Unified School District that have already enrolled.
Okay,
So that $5,000 was for 12 months.
and did we do a mailer to Racine, or did we just do
I
bus
think
advertising?
last year they may have,
Okay,
but I know we just started this at the middle of August.
okay. Which
So-
buses?
Yeah, so they were gonna charge us monthly,
Yeah,
and I just asked them if we could just do it all in one lump sum, so
Yep.
we could just write one check and be done,
Yep.
so. It goes all the way from August to August.
got it.
We did target that region because Racine closed their virtual school.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mhm.
So that was one way, and they use a lot of public transportation there.
okay,
Another one, we have a direct mailer that's prepping to go out for, we had learned of another region that had a waiting list of 90+ students on their virtual school, so we had a direct mailer going out to that region. So probably about a similar cost. With our grant funds, for our charter school expansion grants, we have a significant amount of that money that's for that advertising, that's supposed to be spent for that.
yep,
So. It's a good question though, but we do track that on the impressions and.
Yeah.
What they say, how did they learn about or hear about us?
Yeah. Well, somebody who's, that was pretty much my career is marketing, so. We call it top of mind awareness,
Yeah.
making sure that you're seen in lots of different locations rather than just one. Because when you see it in multiple locations, that brings you to top of mind, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I just did a couple of others, KLM, SLP services. It's like, page.
Ancient language pathology.
There we go, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, okay. Mendel Consolidated. What were the damages, what was that about? Page 6.
It's not the school district, I recall, didn't that question come up?
Yeah.
Well, I don't recall what label consolidated was.
That's listed as liquidated damages.
Oh, that would be
Oh,
liquidated
okay.
damages, so that would be the hiring of a teacher
Oh,
from
that's
another
right.
district after they were under contract.
Okay,
So there's been a we had one, I think, last year for another district.
That is the actual district.
Yeah, so,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So that's when we hire staff, especially once you get past June 15th, we'll often do that contract buyout for that mark, cover that cost. Some districts in an attempt to discourage teachers from taking jobs elsewhere, have raised those quite a bit. I don't
Sure.
recall what Randall's was, but ironically, if they didn't have any liquidated damages, that actually gives you an option to break the contract. Whereas districts chose not to allow for liquidated damages, technically they could say, no, you're under contract with us for the year. And they could request the DPI pull their license if they don't honor the contract. But most districts have liquidated damages in that, which allows the teacher to separate the contract.
What do our contracts say?
Ours is 400 and then 800. It depends on the date, if I recall.
And then just one other one, and it was in the credit card expenditures, I think it was under Jody's. There were a couple license fees, but to the tune of about $7,500, and I didn't know what that was, if it's something that we pay up front and get reimbursed, or. So I didn't know what it is.
Yeah, two of them listed.
Yeah, there were two.
Same for the next one, $13.
If it was a higher, was it? I'd have to know.
So that would
the
be for
specific-
staff members.
Yeah.
So-
If that's for their higher education costs,
Yeah.
when we ask staff to go back to get a specific license, and we'll cover that tuition costs. So I don't know if it's not so much a license, because there's no license that costs $7,500, but there
There were two separate ones. One was like 3,200 and the other was whatever the difference is between that. I just, like you said, round.
So that would be tuition towards whatever.
Okay, so
license they're looking at.
so tuition and not a,
Correct, not an actual license, because the license is fairly $100.
okay.
The
So
license gets paid to the Department of Public Instruction. So the license would follow usually the credits and earning the degree.
So teachers that are working on like a degree or a license that would enable them to provide transcripted credits to the students, we'll cover that cost, or if we've asked them to move into a position or obtain a license that they don't currently have.
okay, so it's a tuition cost and not a license cost?
That would be
So I
tuition
don't know.
cost towards obtaining that license.
Okay, so, all right, okay, yeah, one was 35 and change, 3,500 and change, and the other was just over 4,000. Yeah, so. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, and looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of September 9th, 2024, check numbers 152971 to 153073. Wire numbers 224 to 239 and ACH numbers 100 to 133 in the combined amount of $448,773.60 as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of September 9th, 2024. Check numbers 152971 to 153073, wire numbers 224 to 239, and ACH numbers 100 to 133 in the combined amount of $448,773.60. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Moving on to the Fund 46.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the fourth year when this proposal has come to the board of looking at transferring monies that we collect the school district for community use of facilities. And this was a state law that went into effect back in 2013 that allowed the creation of what the DPI refers to as Fund 46. It's kind of like a trust fund for long-term capital needs of the school district. So we put a proposal together, I think in 2015, and at that time asked the board to transfer $100 just to start the clock ticking, because there's a five-year window. So at this point, we certainly have to surpass that 5-year window. We have a long-range plan. So each year, usually in September, we try to do that transfer of those monies to set aside in a capital improvement fund to meet the future needs, capital needs of the school district. So I think over time, we've also earned about maybe $7,000-8,000 in interest income.
Hmm.
So pending approval of tonight's proposal, we'd have a little over 100,000 in that Fund 46. And again, that's set aside for capital improvements for the future for the school board to consider.
I do have a question on this year's payments. It looks like there's one organization in particular is not marked as having paid their bill.
As of June 30th,
Oh, as of June 30th?
Yes.
Have they paid it since
I
then?
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had those set up as accounts receivable.
Got it.
Yep.
And, you know, this is good to have, because we definitely have capital needs that
Yeah.
come up, like the lights at the football field are no longer made, and so there's 3 that are burnt out, we can't replace.
Mhm.
So to convert over to LED, to give an idea, you know, that's about a $70,000+ project
Wow.
and so forth, so. Yeah, there's needs that will always be there coming out, that's one that we're on a limited lifespan, even how many lights burn out, we need to go. Yeah.
Have
So,
we evaluated the rates we're charging recently, you know?
Yeah, I kind of was wondering that too, and it looks to me like we're charging a minimal amount for nonprofits. Is that correct?
yeah, there's different
Classifications.
classifications, and a lot of our facilities get booked up from the nonprofits or the local groups, which have a much lower rate than if they're an outside
Right.
for-profit organization.
Right. Are we covering our costs though, when I mean, I love obviously being generous to nonprofits, but are we covering our costs when we bill and do that? Like,
Well, we're covering our direct costs because we'll charge them like if our staff are involved with
Yeah.
those things, and then we have a supply cost that we've added into it over the last couple of years. The next piece, maybe it's more of a discussion, is we have the ability now of figuring out utility costs.
yeah,
And actually have a system through that Clockworks, that
Yep.
system that we use for monitoring. That we can identify the actual costs for specific parts of the building being
Yep.
used.
Yep.
So that's probably our next step
Okay.
in the process, and up until we have that ability, the DPI and the auditor said, you can't just do that based on square foot cost.
got
You
it.
gotta have more of a actual calculation, and this
But now
system,
we have that
this
ability.
system has been approved for that purpose.
Right.
So we'll have that ability,
Okay,
yeah, but we haven't implemented it yet, to be honest with you.
yeah,
How do we need to do that?
Probably need to look at our policy in terms of
okay,
fees and how that may be a future policy discussion. I think it is a
Yeah.
policy right now.
let's add that to the list.
Well, yeah, I just think, you know, we're getting less than $100 an hour for the auditorium.
Right,
Like, I think it's gonna cost us more than $100 an hour to supply that.
well, yeah, because we actually have staff there and,
Mhm. Depending what the activity is, but
Right.
yes. And usually custodial staff, we would charge if they needed to use the kitchen, we require like a cook to be present, so we'll charge for those things, but it's certainly, you know, a starting point. We're
Mhm.
taking another look at it in terms of some of those fees, certainly. Especially with utility costs going up so much.
yeah,
I think it's very reasonable to consider that.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, we're not trying to gouge or
Right.
just let's cover the costs at that point. And
Yeah, depending on the area, it could vary greatly, but like our LED lights, because the cost is really
sure,
pretty minimal, depending on the space, what type of lighting they have and so forth, but
Mm-hmm.
we reevaluate that.
Years ago, we used to do, we called it a surcharge, but then, again, the DPI and auditor said we just can't come up with a surcharge, and it needs to be based on the actual use and what
Right,
they're using, so. Like I said, we have that ability now.
okay. Okay. So, looking for a motion to approve the transfer proposal.
I move to approve the Fund 46 transfer proposal as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Fund 46 transfer proposal. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next is my favorite part, the student representative report. And I wanted, for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet them, we have Isabella and Roberto. Take it away.
Joyce, should I go up there?
You can stay
You can stay there. Okay, no, you can say that.
You want to come up?
Yeah, yeah.
You're-
Okay.
But you're welcome to stay there.
Okay, so on the top left, the Addams Family, the theater department just came out with the fall musical, so rehearsals for that are gonna start in October, and then the play will be early November. Top right, that was senior sunrise, so first day of school, all the seniors got together early, just hung out, took a bunch of pictures, some of the guys even grilled pancakes and bacon in their car, so that was super fun. Bottom left, that was the soccer game on Friday. Elks won 4-0 to Kenosha Trumper, and there was a community tailgate in the parking lot before that, so that was also really nice. And then Tropical Paradise, Elkhorn Student Council just came out with their homecoming theme. So all the clubs and sports are, figuring out what they want to do for their flow and nominations for homecoming court. So
And when that's all coming?
the dance is October 12th, and then the game will be the 11th. For the middle school, student council and STEM have their first meetings this week, and there are already over 60% of students involved in a club right now. And then the school PTO is organizing a dance coming at the end of September. And then girls basketball is also starting soon. And then 6th grade, both teams, Gold and Trailblazers, are going to Camp Timberley for a field trip towards the end of the month.
Do any board members ever want to go chaperone the middle school dance? I'm sure that. It's more of just middle school kids running around. I don't think it's
And
like
keeping them in the
dancing. Do you know, are they doing this first one outside again like last year or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They always did them inside when I was in middle school.
Yeah, but.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. And then over at West Side, PTA is doing a popcorn fundraiser. So basically every kid gets the opportunity to sell popcorn, and that's just for school assemblies and other little things like that. And then their picture day is also coming up soon.
Right here in Jackson, Friday, they had donuts with the parents to start off the day, so I'm sure the kids love that, eating sugar right away. And there in that picture, on the top right, it's the 5th graders helping out I believe it was the 1st graders, with their Chromebooks, which is really neat to see.
Yeah.
That's great.
Tibbetts, so October 2nd is their picture day, which is like coming up soon, kind of, I guess. And then in that picture right there is students, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Miss Lewandowski, I think. That's her students, just having fun on the first week of school, getting ready. Some of them with their Elkhorn jerseys on, which is cool to see too.
What grade was that?
I believe it's 1st grade.
1st grade, okay.
Options, I couldn't find much, but I'm sure they had a good first week of school, and they're excited to come back, for another round.
Okay, for CCA, on the far left, I have a list of all of the students that signed their letter of intent over the summer. And essentially that's just students signing to do a youth apprenticeship for the school year. And then in the middle, that's the students on their first day of school, and there's already over 50 students who are on pace to earn their associate's degree before they graduate. Yeah, and then on the right are a couple new hires for CCA and even the middle school, so that's really exciting.
Yeah. That lobby has never had that many students in there before. It's always been a pretty quiet campus, and we're 2 more cohorts to go before they start graduating out. So
Wow.
it'll be a hopping place, yeah.
And welcome back, Troy Watson, isn't he at
Mhm.
Elkhorn Grade?
Yep.
I didn't know he was an Elkhorn grad.
Mhm.
All right.
So for Parent Connections, this is activities that are going on around, Elkhorn that kids can participate in. The first one is Pause to Read. It's Mondays. It starts the 9th. So today, 4:15, that some kids were there, reading. And then the next one is Kid Librarian for the Day, which is going to be really cool to see. It begins on October 24th, and kids ages 5 to 12 could enter by applying for a card during the month of September. And then for the last one, it's the World of Reading Club. So you sign up, when kids sign up, they get free books from Elkhorn Area School District, and it's a really cool idea because it encourages them to read more.
Yeah, awesome.
Great.
Well, I'm impressed. You guys did that with no notes. Yeah. You guys are the first one who've done that with no notes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's pretty good.
That just means the bar is starting here now.
So.
I would ask Isabella and Roberto, anything from the first week of school over at the high school that you'd like to share? How did it go? And any feedback in particular? I think one of the areas that the board had asked administration to kind of reemphasize was cell phone policies that were already on the books. How's that going? And
Right.
any feedback there?
Yeah, as far as the cell phone policy, I know a lot of students aren't really happy with it, obviously. But I think most of the staff are like really strong with it and abiding by it. I think some of the staff like are more like lenient, and so that's like from the student perspective a little frustrating because like, if you're on your phone in one class it's fine, but the next one it's taken away and it's kind of like hard to really define. But the students are like, from the student perspective, I kind of get it, but I also get it both sides. So yeah.
Yes, like all my buds are like, oh, it's so dumb. But I think it's a good idea because it like less distraction. I feel like they're more focused on their work because if they don't have to worry about their phone like out on the desk at all, they'll just do their work. I think it's good.
Anything else from the first week?
No.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
I do know that several board members, including myself, have received high praise from parents. Like the feedback that I've received is thank you for doing that, for enforcing it. So I don't know if anybody else has gotten feedback, but.
I got feedback saying, yay parents, yay school teacher, or yay teachers, and it was really boring for their high school student that first week because they couldn't be on their phone. So, yeah, too bad, sorry.
All right.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, director's report, Mr. Claudio.
Okay, I hope this is your second favorite part.
Yeah.
Presentation. Mr. Dolly, come on up. My name is Chris Trottier, Director of Strategic Partnerships and School of Work.
I'm Mike Dolly. I'm the Career and Technical Education Coordinator, taking over or attempting to for Ms. Paulus.
So real quick, students, I do want you guys to maybe get like a poll to see, what do you think, Mr. Gordon? How many teachers are on their cell phones? No, I'm joking. It was a joke. It was a joke. Yeah, it was a joke. So since at least as long as I've been in this district, we have always focused on developing career pathways for students, all students with stackable credentials. And we focused on school, youth apprenticeships, co-curricular, industry recognized certifications, and what am I missing? Dual credits, sorry. When I first got into my current position, Mr. Tadlock said, I think we're ready to formalize this. We did a lot of work on the infrastructure at the high school, working to kind of remodel some of our departments, align them, connect them to Gateway transcripted courses, expanded Mrs. Pella's role to be full-time, dedicated time for school to work and YA. So really trying to drive that work. The community invested in obviously our CTE and career and technical education spaces and others. So we just wanted to talk about a model that we have presented to Mr. Tadlock, the directors, and our administrative team And where we think we can now take all of that work for the last, since 2013, I know it happened before too, and really scale it up and make it so it's for all kids. Maybe not just for most kids, and that's where you're not gonna hear. So we've done some research. I use this quote here to get this going. Relevance makes rigor possible. So I know you've heard from our admin team that we have our 4 shared commitments: rigor, relevancy, relationships, and responsiveness. Dr. Daggett in the early 2000s was pushing the 3 R's. This is a quote from him. So just think about how relevance makes rigor possible and giving purpose to education and to the student experience. Exciting vision. So career connected learning, you're gonna hear a lot of that. It's become very popular nationwide. Our state is starting to use some of that language there. So Mr. Daly and I are gonna talk about a model that we are ready to start working collaboratively as a district to move. As we go through this, these are some of the things you're gonna hear from Mike and I. First of all, as we go through this, I just want you to kind of think about what our promise is for all kids and what we want all kids to have, whether you're, whether all kids, I'll just say that. So we have an incredible history. As I talked about, we have great academic career planning. Mrs. Bosch is doing great things at the middle and high school. Our elementary is moving heaven and earth to make sure all kids can read and write read and do math at a high level, which is a very integral part of being future ready and career ready. We have Emily, Mrs. Lind and her team doing amazing work with the transition team. Quick little announcement, we just earned a second $90,000 transition grant from DPI. That's two years in a row. So to keep that work going, this moves our current career readiness model from like opportunities to really like guaranteed experiences. So Mr. Daly and I are collecting all the data for Act 59 and CT incentive grant. We've been really investing the last year of getting kids out and into places, employer visits, college visits, going to Lakeland Builders Association experiences, really wanting to give that experience to all kids. Last year, we scheduled about 30% of the high school and just under 20% of the middle school to those types of experiences. I did a quick look at our total work-based learning experiences, which is primarily YAs. About 17 to 18% of our kids are getting those experiences, so that continues to move up. We would love to see that even go higher. No matter what career you're in or what you're seeking, whether you want to be a doctor, you want to be in the trades, whatever it may be, and anywhere in between, right? We believe that moves career into opportunities and guaranteed experiences. We're looking to actually get kids to think more intentionally about when they select a course and a plan at the high school and what that looks like. Increase collaboration and alignment between all 3 high schools and the middle school, bring everybody together, make sure that's happening from these student experiences and this career connected learning model. This model is going to directly align to Redefining Ready, which has been a staple in our district and a dashboard for measuring our effectiveness. Really maintain our competitive edge and set us apart from every district in the state. What we're going to talk about here is unique to the state of Wisconsin. And we want to continue to remain that competitive edge. Invest in our current relationship and strategic partnerships that we already have. It really is talking about community connected learning. Bring our employers in. Get them in. Instead of us always going there, let's get them in. Let's really expand that relationship. Support school board, family, and community vision for schools. Our employers are asking for what we're going to talk about, and then aligns with national research. So Mr. Daly is going to walk you through a model that we researched. We've researched many models. This has been going on for 4 years. We felt like at this point, through the work that we've done, we were ready to present this and just share this with you and get your feedback and hear what you have to. So I'll let Mr. Daly talk.
So basically the models that have been gaining a lot of popularity are based off of the 4 next generation learning 3 standards here. So here you can see the 3 strands that they focus on, transforming the student learning experience, transforming culture systems and structures of secondary schools, and then transforming partnerships between the schools and business, post-secondary, and community. Before we move forward, I will say a large number of these next steps are already being done. They just need to be wrapped up and packaged a little bit different. So it's not a huge undertaking, it's just more, sometimes a little bit administrative, right? So next, please. So we're gonna look at the Racine academies. They're one of the first school districts in the state of Wisconsin that have really embraced the academy models. Some other ones that you might have been familiar with are the Nashville school districts. They're the ones that really unveiled this one early on. But these are the experiences that Racine has identified as guaranteed experiences for all students. So if you look at these lists here, I'll primarily focus on, like, say, the mini business world, teens in the trades. We just registered the middle school to go to Build My Future in Southeastern Wisconsin next month. But that's not guaranteed to all students, right? That's a select group of students that are interested in going. So we're just trying to move that needle a little bit to making sure that every student participates, even if that means that they can say, I don't want to do this, because that is still learning what you want to do or not to do, right? So then as we continue to move on through middle school, the idea is that once they get through middle school, they'll have a basic understanding of what to look for when they get to high school, when they can start to determine this is the pathway that I would like to go. And so here, the academies of Racine have identified then by each grade level what those guaranteed experiences are. And again, we're hitting a number of these through our SST lessons that our counselors are putting together. But there are things that we can still expand on, that there are still things that we can do more of. And the big goal is there that students take 3 levels of classes, level 1, 2, and 3. And then hopefully then by their senior year, they can engage in some other post experience, whether that be a youth apprenticeship option or that they're enrolling in Gateway dual credit programs and getting their associate's degree, or going to Whitewater to experience that higher level education that's there too. So it's, again, just stacking up on all of those different pathways so that they can make more informed decisions while they're here.
I'm going to interject one thing real quick. A pathway is, in this model, is 3 courses. So you see level 1, level 2, level 3.
Yeah.
Students would, when we say we would like each student to commit to one pathway, it's 3 courses.
Got it.
Okay. Why? Are we saying if a kid chooses, I'm going to use an example, accounting, we're saying, well, Mr. Gordon, you chose accounting, you're going to be an accountant. You're going to be an accountant. It's not what we're saying. We're saying you're exploring this at 3 levels, and level 1 is bringing in that experiential side, not just simply in the classroom, but some of the things that we've talked about. They're actually maybe going to job shadow an accountant. Maybe level 2, they're then going to do a research project in accounting. Maybe they're going to interview an employer. Maybe they're then going to do a extended career-based learning experience, right?
Minimum get involved in a CTSO.
Right, where they're maybe serving as the accountant for Mr. Thorson's automotive program, right? Level 3, you're kind of that capstone and you're saying, okay, is this for me? Can kids switch in between there? Yes.
Okay.
Right? But it's really guaranteeing all kids go through this intensive experience with the goal of this capstone idea.
Yep.
And being intentional about those experiences instead of right now.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, correct, right? Right.
We have a lot of infrastructure in place. The high school's doing great work. I think you saw the presentation on those pathway forms where, we already have the documents that here's the pathway you can take to earn these certifications with the Elkhorn classes, the combo with the Gateway classes and so forth. And I think it's part of this process and then getting the teams together, kind of what we had talked about with that admin team is doing an audit of here's everything that we have, here's everything that we're offering, what are those gaps, where do we fill, where do I think Mr. Trotty or Mr. Dolly fill such a critical role, because as you're expanding these opportunities, you've got to have places to send the students off site in those business partnerships, and it's critical there. I would just iterate one of the things that I'm excited about is the challenge that Racine has is for their students to choose an academy, they're having to choose a different school to go to because they, being a large district, how many high schools they have? 3 or
3
4?
main high schools, yeah.
And so their academy is when you're choosing, well, I want this pathway, to get that, you have to choose to go to that school.
Yeah.
Our different schools are really modalities that have meaning different instructional models, but the kids can access any pathway from either of those 3.
if you'd like to go to the next slide.
And I'll just figure, Julie, I think that when Mrs. Bosch and Mrs. G were showing you that platform, I think you said, does every parent know about these?
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
I started in kind of Elk Works as kind of just a tagline, so people could remember where to go to learn some of these.
Yeah.
And we have posters in the classrooms. It has become part of our fabric, but I don't know if everybody knows this.
Yeah.
And that's what Mr. Gallagher talked about here, how we start to involve
Okay.
others.
So here you can see the breakdown for the Racine academies, and like Mr. Tadlock was saying, each high school has their own specialty, essentially. They do bring in a chair that is a representative of a business or local partnership to where they're bringing their subject matter expertise into that academy and helping say, industry says A, B, and C, we need to ensure that A, B, and C is being done in the classroom as well. To me, I think that goes back to the relevancy quote, is that we need to make sure that what is changing in industry needs to be reflected in our classroom as well. So, and I think the best way to do that is to bring industry in and listen to them.
Absolutely.
So again, there are other ones too, to where if you look at, say, like,
You want me to go back? Sorry.
yeah, just real quick. Horlick has other things in there too, like their IB leadership, their JROTC. And so each one kind of has their own specialty as well. And then even down there at the bottom, you kind of have a, I don't know, what would you call it? A for all model.
Yeah.
So that is just kind of what you're guaranteed to get in all of the academies. So
The purple.
the purple, yes, sorry. Okay. So again, as we talk about the pathway advisors for those different schools that we're seeing, what we would have is very much our connected partnerships that we already have existing or that we're continuing to build up. So site visits, we had, I believe I had 19, we organized 19 different field trips just for our students to get out into the community. That doesn't include science wanting to go to Women in STEM at Platteville. It's just organizing field trips to local business partners.
Or HOSA wanting to go.
Or yeah, or HOSA or skills.
There's still other ones happening.
We had a number of students go on job shadows. I think the most interesting request that I've gotten for students in the first year in this position is learning what industries are not readily available in a 30 to 40 minute commute. And so trying to find creative solutions to being able to connect them with some of those individuals. My best example that I can give you for that is we sent the broadcasting club up to Lambeau Field in the spring last year because it was the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association.
Sure.
So getting them into the local media, not always easy, but who better to go learn from than Wayne Larrabee, right? The voice of the Packers.
Yeah.
So those students got to go up there on a Saturday and go experience that and get maybe not a job shadow, but they got to learn to do reading on a teleprompter and how to like formulate their stories that they're going to be broadcasting as well. So.
And I love another one that they did is they went to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, the Broadcasting Club, and were participants in the contest that they had, I believe, for putting together a
promotional
video for the
Nice.
conference. So it was neat to see them all around the conference.
Yeah.
Working on that project.
That's great.
Great experience.
So then again, too, as things are changing in the industry, these advisors are there in order to help us make changes to our curriculum or modernize what we need to. I will pick out my own content area, say for certifications, right? Microsoft Office Specialist looks good on a resume for a high school student. Doesn't really open a lot of doors in industry, right? Even though it's an expectation, but that's still an industry exposure. It's not a learning curve that they would have to experience on the job, right? So at least they're getting some of that exposure to it. And then as new certificates come out, as we see the evolution of AI, how is that going to impact industry? What needs to change in, say, cybersecurity or computer science, et cetera. And then as always, professional skills, right? So I know working with, I worked with Mr. Towery today, we're working on email etiquette coming up here soon too. So it is not a text message software. So how does that work with our partners?
You have to capitalize things.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, correct. Punctuation, yeah,
Spell
Complete
the whole
sentences.
word.
correct. So anticipated results, connect employers in the community, teachers, schools, and kids. Guarantees a series of career-based learning experience at each grade level, 6 through 12. Ensures all Elkhorn Area School District graduates explore at least one career pathway, increase student outcomes, especially on redefining ready. I would anticipate we would see a significant jump in our youth apprenticeships. It's pretty hard to get a significant jump in our dual credits, just because we have so many. But I think you would see more industry recognized credentials, the modernization of that. I think you'd see more lab-based stuff with our employers giving more opportunities and advising. Increased grant revenue, that would happen, especially through our CT incentive grants. Intensifies our employer engagement. I can't tell you how many, if I have to answer the question, do they teach the trades in high schools anymore? It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Or, well, I wish some schools taught manufacturing. I'm like, really? Come on over. Shame on us for not, I mean, we do our best, but like, there's just so many, like, I spoke to the Delavan Holdings, which is the CUNYS and Lakeland, and out of that, their chief human resources officer said, do you guys have a culinary club or anything? We're looking for chefs, right? I called him Mike, he's like, really? Like, you know, so I mean, like, there's just so many opportunities to get our kids engaged. And identifies level 1 and 2, 3 courses, connects experiences to them, and enhances collaboration amongst all our 3 high schools and our middle school. And then after this, you guys can take a look on your own, laid out a tentative plan, but it really begins with, as Mr. Tadlock talked about, really bringing everybody together and doing an audit. And you can take a look at that. If you ever have questions, feel free to email Mr. Dolly, Mr. Tadlock. Questions, thoughts?
I love it. I wish this was implemented when my kids were in school. It's fantastic. I love it.
One of the largest employers in the area is the county. Don't
Yep.
forget about that.
We don't.
So, yeah. I
Yep.
know that we had kids that came through in Youth and Government Day in my own department, and they were kind of like, wow, this is kind of cool. And somebody else talked with the property lister who works in the treasurer's department, who was like, hey, if you like math, if you like, history, if you like geography, this is it in a nutshell,
Yeah,
and
Kate Bishop's done a great job of
Yeah.
connecting us.
Yeah, so,
So
yeah.
I just emailed the sheriff and undersheriff today
Mhm.
because DWG just came out with 3 new pathways. One in law enforcement and protective and fire protection. So I worked with Mr. Angelo, and we're going to try and get our local law enforcement and our fire services together and say, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah.
And social work is another one that just.
Yeah.
Human service.
Human service.
Expanded as well.
Yeah.
Last year was admin assistance and education.
And we've had students who have gone into law enforcement at a young age, they're making a livable wage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very early on, and there's such a demand and openings for the position. I mean, they don't have enough people going into those fields, so
Yep.
that's great. And I'm really excited. The next board meeting, you'll have Mrs. Bosch and the high school counselors on the team on this same theme. I think they'll get more granular in regards to specifically what they're doing. Working on this all ties in
Yeah. Great.
together, so.
I think
What they're talking about is the foundation to all of it. I
I
mean,
think
that's,
this is exciting. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's great work, and I think we're very fortunate to have the positions of Mr. Trotty and Mr. Dolly, because without those positions, we don't have people to do the bandwidth to create the access and opportunity for the students with the business partners. It's just not there. It's kind of unique to us when Mrs. Pello was put into that position and doing that and going around the country and seeing the youth apprenticeships. And I think it's reflective as why we do lead in those industry-based certifications, the dual credits and those opportunities, at the state level. So
Yeah.
thank you to the work you guys do.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
DTSO Career and Technology Student Organization.
career and technical student organization.
Yeah.
Like really darn close.
Listen,
That huge win, huge win. Thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes we love way too many acronyms, right? Yeah. And I was just closing, I was just telling Mr. Daly, Michael, I was just on a presentation, national, this model and this idea Doesn't matter if you're at the state level, they're like career connected learning. Our partners to the north, to the west, Mr. Rick was like, hey, I heard you guys presented on the career connected learning. Are you guys really going forward with that? I'm like, I'm not telling them. Yeah, we are. He's like, that's awesome. We're trying to get there. So it's pretty cool to be, again, like cutting edge and staying at the forefront of what we're doing. So,
Nice.
any other questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is that, all right.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on to the referendum update.
Right, we have a number of items to share. Oh, you know what, Mr. Truan, while I pull up, included the links in your board notes, but I wanted to share with you, this is our current roadshow schedule. If you have another group or an organization that, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but what I'd like to do is invite the board members, if there's one of the organizations that you'd like to attend the meeting and or, you know, speak to or chime in, go ahead and just plug your name in on the list. If there's other events or groups that you know, hey, we'd like someone to come and talk to us about it, let us know, we'll get that added to the list. But I believe it's, you know, we're looking at about, well, we had our first touch point tonight with the Jackson PTA group, but we'll keep rolling through that and happy to go.
How are you
anywhere.
ramping up the homecoming football game?
Oh, that's more making sure that we have we're not necessarily doing a presentation, but making sure we have flyers and a poster out
Got it.
at those events.
Okay.
So feel free to.
So the things that are like in the pink or whatever, that's more.
Yeah, those are more
Not-
just events
not
to
doing
have
presentations.
information. Yeah. What I wanted to share. Oh, another question that came up at the last meeting was related to, do we know, you know, which schools are
Yes.
going to referendum? This is just a list of those going this fall.
Yep.
Going back over the last 2 years, it's over 80% of the school districts have gone to referendum. What was interesting is, not this last fall, but the fall before, so it'll be 2 years this fall. I think just about every district in Dane County went to referendum.
22.
In 22
Yeah.
and did recurring referendums.
Now they're asking for another $100 million.
Well, that's just Madison Metropolitan,
Yeah.
yeah. I was surprised to see, you know, districts our size who'd already passed recurring referendums coming back and like DeForest and Wanakee.
Yeah.
I think Wanakee had passed over 10 million 2 years ago.
Wow.
And now they have a $20 million question.
Wow.
The dock at Sun Prairie, 25.
Yeah,
Just-
it looked like there were like 80 that are going to recurring or non-recurring referendums. And then the
then-
balance of them were all issuing debt, which I'm
Correct.
assuming were for building improvements.
Yeah,
But
correct, yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, 80, that's almost a fifth going this fall.
yeah,
But again, it's about 80% that have gone within the last 2 years.
yeah.
I did want to share, I thought that I'd put the link in there for the video. I can share that at the next update. We do have the fact sheet though. I wanted to grab those. Those are off the press. We just got those today. These are the fact sheets that we share when we go presentation or have them informational.
Oh, yeah.
Just well,
Yeah.
it's a 2-pager because it's talking about. Well, I recognize, I mean, the admin team for putting that together, but Katie, I want to thank her for her time. She does a great job. From the graphic design standpoint, so.
I think the video is in your email too, Jason.
Oh, you know what, I forgot here, I can just pull it up right here.
Yeah.
Whoops. And this is our roadshow presentation. We keep it a very short number of slides. Just because usually the groups will be like 8-10 minutes, and that's about, what they'd like us to capture it in. We can go ahead and share. This video kind of is personalized to the school district, but I think it does a really nice job in 3 minutes and 46 seconds of explaining Wisconsin school funding and what we're looking at. So bear with me for the 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
Our public schools are the cornerstone of our community. The education and opportunities we provide for students today shape their futures and ours. Schools, like any organization, need money to operate, but in Wisconsin, funding the needs of our schools has been a growing challenge. State policy limits how much school districts can spend. The vast majority of school funding comes from a combination of state dollars and local property taxes. It's called the revenue limit, and it acts as a cap per student that school districts can spend each year. Even if school costs go above this level, schools can't spend any more than this limit. From 1994 to 2009, these revenue caps were adjusted for inflation, which meant they helped schools keep up with ongoing needs. But since 2010, the resources districts need to survive have fallen farther and farther behind the basic costs to operate our schools. By the end of 2025, the revenue limit will have fallen more than $3,300 per student behind inflation. In our school district, with approximately 2,900 resident students, that's a decrease of more than $9.5 million per year. What's more, each district has a different revenue cap, and these caps are not tied to the needs of the students or the costs to the schools that serve them. Our job as a school district is to make sure all of our students have access to the exceptional educational opportunities we provide, no matter what their needs when they walk through our doors. But state funding falls short of what it costs to meet the specific needs of many of our students. When that happens, we have to use money from our general fund to cover the difference, which means taking dollars from other important needs. The largest portion of our budget goes towards staffing. Our people are the heart of our schools. Without enough educators to instruct, support, and inspire learning, schools can't provide the lessons, programs, and opportunities our students deserve. Other important budget items include curriculum, technology, transportation, operations, and maintenance. We work hard to balance our budgets, yet resources for schools have been shrinking year after year since 2010. With costs growing so much faster than funding, districts are always looking for ways to trim costs and work smarter, like deferring needed school maintenance, cutting programs, reducing staff, and many other strategies. But schools can only cut so much before they start to harm educational opportunities for their students. To maintain class sizes, keep up with rising costs, take care of school buildings, and protect high-quality instruction, many districts have turned to their community to help fill the state-imposed funding gap. Since the arrival of revenue limits, over 80% of school districts have done so by asking local voters to raise their caps through an operational referendum. Most have used the option multiple times. Our children don't have time to wait for state policymakers to fix the school funding system. By putting the needs of our students first, we are investing in their potential and the future of our whole community. Strong schools make strong communities where families want to move and stay. Learn more about school finance in Wisconsin by visiting our website.
That was put together by the School Business Association, is that correct, Bill?
They created the initial one, and then the Wisconsin Public Relations Commission put together the kind of the ability of customizing it.
I was just gonna say, you just give them your school colors and your logo.
Yeah,
and
it was
they
pretty simple,
customize it
yeah.
for it. Nice.
I think it explains it succinctly. It doesn't overly complicate it. I mean, you could certainly go much more in depth, but I think it gives a relative clear picture. We're at a point now where about a third, between a third and a quarter of our students are open enrolled in. So that number of falling short doesn't include the fact that they haven't kept up with open enrollment costs compared to inflation either. That puts the number up probably closer to around 12 million, but our open enrollment is actually a benefit. That's
Yes.
part of why we've been able to delay
Correct.
having to go to referendum sooner, because we bring in about 7.5 million in open enrollment. But I think that's what I wanted to share related to the referendum updates, unless there's any questions that you have related to where we're at. Anything you wanted to add, Bill?
No, I think there's a number of those road shows coming up, and certainly as board members, if you want to be either part of that or at least attend it. And there's one, then the community one, I think is October 21st.
Yeah.
Month away, but
I have that on the.
I think that's the day before all the early voting is starting here.
Oh. Okay. What time is that event?
At 6 o'clock.
Okay.
High school auditorium.
I would say, I had a recent report of a neighboring district that, was referendum in the spring and had to go through those measures of adjusting because it didn't pass. And, there are over 30 students at the elementary levels and 40 plus of the freshman level classes at high school. So it's, it does, I hope that we don't have to get to that point before there's a sense that, oh gee, yeah, okay, we need to do something there. We've been fortunate that we've been able to stay in the black all this time. I think the plan that ad hoc committee laid out, where we will be deficit spending a little bit, but within the 4 years to get back to where we're not having to do that. So that's that.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to the personnel recommendation sheet.
Hey, Emily Lynn shared with the directors today that we are fully staffed
Yay.
now, knock on wood, for they filled their last positions there. So
I see we have a number of new custodians.
Yes, I don't know if we're fully staffed on support positions.
We are, except for we were interviewing today and last Friday for our weekend custodian position,
Okay.
and that's kind of our final vacancy right at the moment. Food service, we're 100% filled. And as Jason said, for special ed teaching assistants, we're 100% filled. So
Great.
What's a teacher of record?
That's the terminology that we use for the teachers over at Options, because they cover in a charter school, they can cover multiple subjects. So if they're in multiple modalities, so someone might be doing a home-based, book-based type curriculum is one of the options there, but they have to have a teacher of record who checks the work, checks the progress to make sure that they're moving forward. As parents can't serve as the teacher. Yeah.
Oh, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for September 9th, 2024, including new employment contracts, district upon passing background check, and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personal recommendation sheet for September 9th, 2024, including new employment contracts, conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, and school gifts.
Right, we have 4 school gifts to present this evening. Mary Alder has donated $100 to Westside Elementary for the purchase of school supplies. Reader Precision Solutions has donated $6,400 towards the travel costs of the IMTS field trip in Chicago. That's the International Manufacturing Trade Show. It's enormous and it's much appreciated. It's a great opportunity for the kids. We also received an anonymous donation of $1,000 towards the Military Wall of Honor project that is being worked on over at the high school. And then the West Side Elementary PTA has donated $825 to support the classrooms of new teachers and teachers who have transferred to different grade levels.
Very nice. Looking for a motion to accept.
I move to accept the generous school gifts as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the generous school gifts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And thank you very much to all of these individuals and to Reader Precision for their generous gifts. And
All right, also committee paperwork.
yeah, the announcements, I guess, is just the policy committee.
Yeah, and then I had one more, just wanted to
Okay.
check and see if that worked, October 14th to 11th for that.
It
Those
does
committee
for
members?
me.
Yep.
Okay. And then tomorrow, we have news reporters coming to showcase the off-road wheelchair. For lack of a better name, I don't recall the name of that.
Yes.
And
That we
Mr.
approved a
Cruz,
couple meetings ago.
right, that
Yeah.
we approved.
Yeah.
Mr. Cruz would like to invite, if there's a board member or two that would like to and is available to attend, that'd be at noon tomorrow. I will not be able to be present. I'm on a Gateway was recognized as a Hispanic Serving Institute, and so I'm a part of a panel tomorrow in fellowship for that. So if there's anyone that would like to attend tomorrow,
Where will that be?
he'd like you to meet at the greenhouse.
Okay.
Just have to make sure it's not a quorum because I don't want to post it as not in Chicago.
Are you able to go?
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
there.
I have a webinar that I need to attend tomorrow.
Yeah, and I can't get it.
All right. So Eric Gordon there, perfect.
Thank you.
And then I just wanted to know, so I know I shared with the school board that the youth football group, we did secure guardian caps for all the players.
Yes.
And I shouldn't say I made them mandatory, and most coaches went along and were okay with it, but for the games this last weekend, and it went well, nobody got made fun of, and it went smoothly, so
Good.
that was great. I didn't see any rationale, if we have the extra safety equipment,
Yep,
why not to wear them
absolutely.
in the games, and
My nephew just
So-
suffered a concussion from football, so, yeah.
And, it's not gonna prevent all of that, but if
Right.
it can give a little bit of a benefit and
Yep.
help a little bit,
Absolutely,
I can at least rest easy knowing we made the effort, so.
yeah.
Happen.
Great.
So, yeah, that was done, went well, and, yeah, nobody got too easy, it was fun.
Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Okay. Awesome, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?